What up, guys? Kevin here with an anime review. Yes, I'm going to review an anime. If you're new to the channel, I don't do that often. I don't think I've ever done it. Last anime I watched was My Dress Up Darling a year ago. I liked it a lot, but I felt like after so many episodes, I'm like, okay, I got a good fill of this. This year, I think because I'm going to Comic-Con here in a few days, I'm just in the mood to watch something anime. So I Googled best anime to watch, landed on a Reddit post, and it was Frieren. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm watching Frieren. And I think I regret that. Guys, I think I'm going to regret watching Frieren because where do I go from here? That was the best show I've ever seen, anime-wise. I would have to think about, well, I mean, in this day and age, yeah, I don't watch TV. I think I would still put Married with Children as my favorite show. But if they do a few more seasons of excellent work like this, it might be my favorite show of all time, not just anime. But yeah, Frieren. What is Frieren? Who is Frieren? Frieren is this elven mage here who is really, really old, but just in numbers. She's going to live probably forever, it seems like. She's over 1,000 years old. The premise of the story is she went on an epic Dragon Quest / Final Fantasy adventure with a party of 4. If you include her, Hyder, Eisen, and Himmel. Himmel is the main protagonist. That story, he is the main protagonist. Frieren is just the elven mage hanging out in the background. And Frieren takes place after that story concludes, where they go and beat the evil demon king. Himmel is just your typical hero, cocky, and gets a statue of himself in every town, so people remember him by. And everyone else kind of goes on their separate ways because they did it. They got together, beat the evil demon king. What are you going to do? Just hang out? I mean, that's what we assume they do, right? When you beat a game, you assume like, oh yeah, these guys can't just split up. They're going to hang out with each other for the rest of their lives. No, that doesn't happen. They go their separate ways. Frieren here just doesn't age, but everyone else does. Well, except for Eisen. He's a little, not troll, dwarf with a Cousin It type beard, hairstyle going on. I don't think he ages. He seems like he's pretty old, but he ain't dying. But Hyder ends up dying, and so does Himmel. And it's really hitting on Frieren pretty hard, at least in the beginning, because it's like, damn, I have regret. I went on this epic adventure, and I don't feel like I was very present or in the moment or bothered to get to know anybody. And that's kind of a theme early on. It's like she didn't really bother to get to know anybody because everyone's going to end up dying and she's just going to keep living. So why bother? That was her attitude. So Hyder, the priest of that party, basically sends her back on another 10-year adventure to where I believe they slayed the Demon King, but she's going to be able to talk to Himmel. Meet Himmel again. I guess there's some magic thing up there where she can do that. I don't know. It didn't end. The season didn't end there. So there's going to be another season for sure. But Hyder has an apprentice named Fern. And he just asks her like, hey, can she be your apprentice? And this is what I love about this show. Frieren is just, she's not reluctant. She's not hesitant at all. She's just like, okay. And throughout the season, it's a lot of her just looking back at her venture with Himmel, who she looked up along a lot. I think even in she's not sexual. She doesn't get horny at all. But I think she's looking back very fondly on Himmel and probably realized he was the one. If I was going to die at 90 or I think 78, 76 that Himmel died, she would have been with him. But she sees it as a second chance to go on a great adventure. They also pick up Mr. Stark here. When I say Mr. Stark, Fern calls him Mr. Stark. And Frieren, Mistress Frieren, and they just go on another adventure. And she's just really taking it all in and enjoying the moment, enjoying teaching Fern, who is a badass, I think even now more powerful than Frieren, and Mr. Stark here, who is just a badass dude with an axe. And there's a great moment when they're in a village and a dragon attacked it. And Stark here, he just kind of showed up to the dragon, but he's just scared as shit, but the dragon flies away. So they deem him the hero. And there's a moment where, like, all right, you need to go. We're going to go on an adventure. You need to go slay this dragon so they don't attack. And he does just that. He gets over his fear, his trembling, and kills the dragon. And there's a great moment where he's waiting for Fern and Frieren to do their little sorcery to finish the dragon, and they're not doing it. And Stark just calls Frieren an old hag, and Frieren doesn't say anything or doesn't mention it. But she's like, he's already dead. And he's like, whoa, I did it. And then it gets brought up like episodes later about Stark calling her an old hag. I was like, oh, that's funny. But it's a great adventure. It's not over the top, like stupid anime. Like sometimes anime just gets really stupid. I think that's why I really appreciate it, where it's just over the top with like just silliness and sexualness and horniness. There's some of that here, but it's really subtle. Maybe like 1 or 2 lines, maybe per episode. There was where Fern learns a spell to see underneath the clothing. She looks right at Stark and pans down to his wiener, and she's like, small. And he's like, hey, nothing small on me. Just great. Just like little stuff like that here and there. Not over the top, beat you over the head with it, like, all right, we get it. You're trying to appeal to 14-year-olds. No, the show appeals to me, 36-year-old man who seen a million of that stuff and can appreciate it a little bit better writing than that. And that's what you get with this show. Really great writing. Really great writing. And just, I think about 4 or 5 story arcs throughout the first season that kept me captivated. 28 episodes, and maybe 2 episodes I thought were like, meh. And even those were pretty damn good. My favorite was the demon arc. There's like a few episodes where these demons are, there's a few of them. There's like a town. They go to a town and there's like a shield to keep the demons out. But there's a few demons that I guess are now running the town or something. And they're basically talked their way into it because they want to be civil. They want to talk to the humans. They don't want to fight anymore. But these demons are complete jackass liars. And Frieren is the only one to call them out. She ends up in prison or in a jail cell in that town. And you just watch this demon dude just say the right things. Just say the right things to the head honcho over there who was going to just kill him. And he's like, well, wouldn't you rather resolve this with words than battle it out? And he's like, oh, okay. But Frieren knows it's a bunch of BS. And then she escapes, and it's like an epic showdown between the gang here and the few demons that are trying to get the keys to the barrier so they can let everyone in and just take over the town and kill everybody. It's excellent. And then later on there's the mage school, not the mage school, there's get the mage mastery 1. And there's a lot of epic stuff going on there. And it ends with just a simple interview where she just goes to each of the mages and says, yep, you're in. Nope, you're out. I was wondering, I'm like, man, this is the second to last episode. They need to wrap it up. They wrapped it up very quick. I'm like, oh, okay. The last test is just a simple interview. But that little arc is great because you get a bunch of more mages that you learn about. Just when you're like, okay, you're starting to get bored of Fern and Stark here. in Frieren. But they just know when to ramp it up and when to introduce something new. Nothing really outstays his welcome in this first season. It's just great. It's just great. And there's a lot of callbacks to Frieren's time with Himmel and that adventure. And I don't know if she's remembering it differently. My theory is she's remembering it differently because it always shows her in the moment, like taking in Himmel's words of advice. But I think she's taking it in as her present self, who is being understanding of what Himmel said. Because I don't think she was that receptive during that adventure. And I think that's why she has a lot of resolve and understanding of what is happening and trying to be very friendly towards and getting to know Fern and Stark, Mr. Stark, as Fern calls him. And you see it grow after each and every episode. Because even in the beginning, she was still a little bit distant. Like, all right, these people are going to die. Let me just go on this adventure. Not really worth getting to know these people, but she tries. She tries, and I can appreciate it. It's great writing. I think it's great writing, guys. Great. Because it's the adventure after the adventure, and it's still an epic adventure. All right, well, I don't know what else to say about it. Frieren, awesome mage. She has some personality quirks that I love. She likes to sleep in to 12. It's great because Fern here, they meet when Fern was like, I don't know, like young, like 4, 5, 6. And then towards the end of the season, she's like, what, 16, 18? But Fern says, yeah, I feel like I'm the bigger sister to Frieren, even though Frieren's like over 1,000 years old. But yeah, Frieren just likes to sleep in, hates waking up early. She loves grimoires, just wants to collect grimoires like Pokemon cards. Even going into Mimic Chess. She loves going into Mimic Chess. Well, I don't think she loves going into Mimic Chess, but she will open any chess, even if it is a Mimic. And her favorite spell is a spell to create a field of flowers, because that's what ended up Himmel recruiting Frieren. They met when they were very young. When Himmel was young, she didn't know it, and she helped him out and gave him like a little dessert with like, hey, here's a field of flowers, and then pointed him towards the way to get home. So that's why it's her favorite spell. But yeah, that is, my review of Frieren, 10 out of 10. I would watch it again, guys. Maybe not right away, but I don't like rewatching stuff. I don't like replaying games. But I thought this was a great show. I thought it was great. Just the writing was great. I'm looking forward to season 2. I may just go buy the manga right now and just read everything. All right, I got to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you later. Later.